right, guys, we are here today. Honestly, we already had some earnings come out today. We got GDP data, we got mortgage rates coming out today, we got prelim non-farm payroll data coming out today. Um, yeah, let's take a look at what we got. There we go. We got if we zoom out on the NASDAQ here, I had this range. I'm going to delete these levels that we drew yesterday. We did go on Top Step TV. We had some earnings. Here's the E-mini. We'll put up the NASDAQ here. Very flat, very choppy, not really unexpected leading into all these big reports, over the next 3 days specifically. Today we have GDP. We have prelim payroll data, which is called the non-farm employment change data. We have Microsoft and Meta earnings, as well as like a bunch of other stuff, to be honest. And then tomorrow we've got PCE data, we've got jobless claims, unemployment filings. But today is the update. It's called the initial estimate for GDP data. So there's multiple different types of GDP releases. There's what's called the initial estimate, which is what today is. The first estimate, the initial estimate. The advanced estimate is what it's called, actually. So the advanced estimate is today. Let me make sure it's today. I'm pretty sure today. Yeah, so today is the advanced estimate for GDP. The advanced estimate is usually released about a month after the quarter ends. The description is the earliest GDP report, and it relies on incomplete or prelim data. But this can have the most variance out of most of the GDP reports. The initial estimate can be the most varied in what it shows up as. Today is we're expecting for GDP, we're expecting 3.1% is what I'm showing, right? So I'm showing anywhere between 3 and 3.1%, which honestly is right around where it was last time. Another really interesting thing to talk about today is that today we also had mortgage data come out higher than expected. Rates went up. The 30-year mortgage rates went up, not down, which is interesting because the Federal Reserve has been cutting rates. So that's a really interesting dynamic of markets right now. Again, 30-year interest rates went up to 6.73%. So 30-year rate went up today. Interesting. It drops weekly, but yeah, look. So here's the 30-year rate. It went up, not down. Which, let me know how you feel about that. I'm not really loving that. I don't think that's good, but I'm okay with them staying higher. What's up, 7-5, Pawn, Beach? What's up, dude? Taker, Ray, Faye, Joseph. Good morning, guys. I know we've been streaming a lot, and that's all right. We've been streaming a lot. Yesterday we did AMD. We did Google earnings. If you look at some of these stocks, man, look at Google and AMD here. Google all the way up to 181s. AMD is struggling after their earnings report, but Google killing it. They did great. They're up to almost 182s right now. Lifetime highs are in the 190s for Google, so it's still a little ways away, but a very strong earnings report. Again, here's Google right here. Very, very strong. Just broke lifetime high, or broke pre-market highs again. Broke highs of the day again at 181.40s or so. AMD still down a heavy amount, but that's all right. We'll see what happens there. Who knows? Let me do a poll right now. Again, we also have prelim payroll data. Are you bullish or bearish on today's GDP report? Vote on the poll. We also have some big earnings coming out later. We also had some earnings come out in pre-market. So this morning, we had Eli Lilly, Caterpillar, Humana, Wingstop, Shake Shack, ADP, Global Payments, Biogen, and more, really. So we had some stuff drop. Nothing really super big. Eli Lilly missed EPS and revenue, so it missed on both fronts. If we look at LLY, which is Lilly, it's down, understandably so. It missed EPS and revenue. Caterpillar, so a construction gauge, missed EPS and revenue. It's down. Humana, BDPSB revenue. Shake Shack, BDPSB revenue. ADP, BDPSB revenue. And there's some other ones. But yeah, the big ones so far, most of them have actually missed. Eli Lilly and Caterpillar both missed EPS. Eli Lilly showed up at 118 versus 150s expected. Caterpillar showed up at 517 versus 530 as expected, and both of them missed revenue as well, slightly under expected, although Caterpillar was just under the expected 16.35 billion at 16.1 billion. Eli Lilly showed up at 1140s versus 1220s expected, so neither of them did good necessarily. I find it amazing that people blame whatever about interest rates when in reality interest rates are market driven. Well, I mean, okay. Interest rates are influenced by the Federal Reserve, right? Which is not a government entity, right? So the interest rates are influenced by the Federal Reserve, and that depends on what's going on in the economy, you know. The Federal Reserve cut rates 50 basis points the last meeting, but it takes time. It takes 3 to 6 months at least to hit those, to like see any type of significant influence over longer term rates like mortgages. And so while the Federal Reserve's cutting rates, it might take time to see that. And again, interest rates went up a little bit, which is interesting. We'll see what happens. But yeah, I guess the point is like, they're not super weighted to one specific thing outside of the Federal Reserve directly influencing rates, right? But they're also certainly market driven as well. They have to do with supply and demand and housing and real estate overall. So Tesla falling down in 250s. Is the NBA data good or bad? I wouldn't say it's good or bad. It means higher mortgage rates. So again, previously it was 6.5%. And so these are mortgages, right? So these are how much people are paying interest on mortgages. And so basically they bumped up a couple basis points relative to what they thought of what happened last time. So these are just mortgages, like how much people are paying on their 30-year mortgage rates. They're at 6.73% right now. So they bumped up a little bit. Yeah. I mean, it's not super strange. It all has to do with the economy, you know. Like for the rates to have for the rate cuts to have any effect, it's going to take months. I'm just ready for this election to end. I really am, dude. I don't care. I mean, like at a certain point regarding these elections, y'all don't feel like it's just some national opera that people are pulling the strings on, you know? I don't know. Seems like a national soap opera. All right, chat. So we got 200 here. The worlds are staged. Yeah. And again, it's all good. Like I'm not like the problem with the whole realm is that people just get so upset either way. Like on both sides, they get upset if you don't agree with them, and I don't think any of the options are necessarily good. I'm just a neutral on it completely. People think I'm saying that. I'm genuinely saying that. And I know I'm like, hey, I'm not going to talk about politics, and then I talk about this, but it's just leading up to the election. We got a couple days left, 6 days to be exact. I'm just ready to finish this and just end it. We'll see what happens. Right, exactly. Oh, you mean next week, Sam? Just in terms of volatility? Yeah, no, I think that makes sense. So Sam says, I heard from Top Step TV that their live accounts are going to be blocked from Monday and Tuesday. You can still trade XFAs and combines, but you are urged to be extremely cautious. 100%, I agree. I think there's going to be so much volatility from it. It's interesting. Like, it's going to be a crazy time. Guys like the stream, there's no one out there presenting economic data so fast and so reliable. John is like a Swiss clock. I'm like that Rolly, I'm here all the time, chat. Oh, man. Yeah, man. I'm ready. I'm just ready for it to end, to be honest. Like, as much as I hate to admit this, I don't even care what happens. I'm just ready for it to freaking end. And I know that's an unpopular opinion right now. I know I might get yelled at for that opinion. Honestly, it's all good. Like, it's all love here. I'm ready for this to end. Yeah, no, it makes sense. There's a lot of volatility that might happen. Low liquidity, big range moves, a lot of jolts to the system, I think, is what's going to be potentially happening. Visa up. So Visa had earnings. Caterpillar down big on the day. Yeah, and again, we're kind of getting choppy action today. I think today's GDP report is very interesting to watch for, too. Yeah, so I'm just ready. Remember, so in 45 minutes, chat, I'm going to put a timer up. In 45 minutes, we have the prelim payroll numbers. So in 45 minutes, we have what's called the non-farm employment change report. So this is in about 40 minutes exactly. Yeah. So in about 40 minutes, we have what's called non-farm employment change. It's the prelim non-farm payroll report. Bro, I genuinely think the way you handle frustration when you're driving is like an IQ test. I genuinely think it is, right? I think the people who can't handle themselves when they're driving, like emotionally control themselves when they're driving, are the dumber people, right? Like, I think it's really like life's an IQ test. Because you see some people that are just like, dude, like, look, if somebody bothers you, just move on with your life. Like, if somebody's driving crazy, let them pass you. You know what I mean? Like, I just let them pass. I'm like, all right, go away from me. Like, I'm okay with you going away from me. I'd rather you be in front of me than behind me. You know what I mean? And so, like, racing the crazy people is the dumbest thing you could ever do. Like, go ahead, just pass me up. The only time I really get mad is if they're in the left lane and they're going slow, and then they're getting mad and they're being passive aggressive if somebody tries to pass them. That's toxic. But, even still, I never get genuinely upset or drive crazy because of it. I might try to pass them, but I hate it when people camp in the passing lane too. But what I'm saying is, like, there's a different, like, it's fine to be upset, right? Like, I get upset, but how you present that, that is the telling thing, right? Like, if you can't control yourself enough to where you're swerving in front of somebody and slamming on your brakes and trying to make them wreck and waving out the window and freaking out, that's a different thing, you know? Everybody gets upset driving. That's normal. With that said, though, if somebody's going faster than you in the left lane, move over. Get out their way. You know, it doesn't matter what speed you're going. You might be going 10 over the speed limit. It doesn't matter. If you're in the left lane and somebody's going faster than you behind you in the left lane, within reason, like, you have a little bit of time. But if somebody's consistently going faster than you, get over. Let them pass and then get back over, you know? Like, don't be like, I'm going 10 minutes over. You shouldn't be speeding. You're not freaking Captain America on the road. Like, get over, you know? Anyways, I think there's been statistical studies that have showed that slow drivers in the left lane cause far more accidents than fast drivers do. And I believe that poll because slow drivers have to make people go around them, which clogs traffic and causes accidents. Oh, I can't do that either. Well, no signal. I use my signal as much as I can, and I genuinely do. But there's always times where you miss it. It depends on, usually the only time I miss my turn signal are times where I think that there's no one else around me, and I'm in, like, neighborhood streets, and, you know, maybe I'm doing something else, but I think nobody else is around me. If I feel like people are around me, anyways. Yeah, and pivoting to a good topic, one of the reasons I think Tesla is super interesting is because if Tesla can stay on the front of FSD, I think FSD and full self-driving vehicles are going to solve a lot of these problems. You know, I think human beings are imperfect. And I think once you start to get FSD widely adopted, the infrastructure built and all that good stuff, I think people are going to see it happen, and then they're going to want it. And then people are going to see them have it, and then other people are going to want it. It's going to have like a domino effect. And I say this every day, but I think that's very true. And because of that, I'm a big bull on Tesla overall. As long as Elon can, you know, move on and not be so political. I think that's his big issue, is that he's too one-sided. And I think if you're selling things to consumers, you're going to ostracize a big percentage of your consumer base doing that. But anyways. You know, what else do we have today? So today, guys, we have Meta. Meta's honestly been crazy strong. Crazy strong. One of the strongest stocks this year. If we look at a daily chart. Here's 2024. So Meta opened the year up, you know, right around $300. It's almost up 100% this year. You know, it opened the year right around 330. It's currently at 590s. In pre-market, it says it hit 607. So I'm wondering if we're getting some, yeah, so it's over 600 now. So it's up just about 100%, probably like 95% this year. So again, Meta up almost 100% on the year. And it's not even been a full 12 months. It's been 10 or 11 months this year. So that's a crazy gain here. And you can kind of see Meta on the right side. That's a big move. It's up big in pre-market. We'll see if that does anything as well. It wasn't me. Yeah, you know, like I've met some people when you're driving in the left lane and the person in front of you is going very slow for left lane driving. And I think, to be fair, I think a lot of like younger people genuinely just don't understand like the procedure of being in the left lane. Left lane's passing lane. And if you're going faster than everybody else, guess what? You're passing them. You're not wrong for going fast in the left lane. You might get pulled over for it, but that's a different subject. But, you know, you see some people who genuinely and intentionally try to clog traffic out of some righteous sense of, like, they shouldn't be speeding. I'm gonna stop them from speeding, right? It's the most toxic, passive-aggressive thing you can ever see. But for whatever reason, you know, a small percentage of people behave that way. And again, what's the point of running a YouTube channel with hundreds of thousands of subscribers if I'm not going to take this opportunity to criticize them? How dare you? Okay, you know, you're not Captain America. Get out of here with that. Let them pass. Just get over it. It's okay. You're causing more problems. You're actually causing more accidents statistically. Hey, all good. Like, comment, and subscribe. Do you think Meta beats estimates today? So yeah, Meta is expected to drop today, and they are expecting $5.19 a share. Crazy good EPS. If we look at Meta's EPS graph, and again, we're going to stream this later. Here's Meta's EPS graph. So this is their margins specifically. So EPS graph shows their margin graph, like basically how much their margins are improving. And honestly, Meta looks strong. Definitely improving margins. Look how strong this looks. So really nice, really nice. We also have Microsoft today, and Microsoft pretty strong also though. You know, Microsoft's a nice trend as well. Only had a couple losing years in the last decade, 3, I think. Yeah, so Microsoft's only had 3 losing years in the last decade. We also have Coinbase, which is probably a little bit more volatile and up and down based off of crypto. But yeah, Coinbase is expecting a 39-cent profit per share, so they are expecting a bump up. But look how volatile Coinbase is. Just it makes sense because it has to do with crypto volatility. We also have Robinhood today. We have Robinhood, and these are EPS. This is earnings per share. It's profit. It's margins. How much the company profits. So Robinhood, not super profitable. We got Carvana today as well. Roku, Etsy. You know, I had this thesis on Roku, and I'm wondering if it's correct. Carvana's had a crazy year too, man. If you look at Carvana, Carvana's rebounded a lot. One of my theses on Roku is that it's a failing company, and honestly, this makes sense. Like, look at the margins. It's been losing money. But, yeah, Roku's expecting a larger loss per share. Honestly, I told you guys, man. Honestly, I'm going to say this again, even though I've said this many times. But it's important for people to understand. Like, if you're trying to short, I'm saying this because I think it plays into how many people predict crashes in markets, right? And I think a lot of people mistakenly try to short Apple or Amazon or Walmart, you know. When the companies you should be shorting, in my opinion, I'm not telling you to short anything, not an investment professional. I have no freaking idea what I'm talking about. I might be wildly wrong about anything and everything I say. Not an investment professional. Understand CFTC 4.41, top 3 disclaimers in the world right now. But the companies, in my opinion, that are the most obvious for failure are companies that got really big and then something changed. Either they got overinflated during specific hyped up moments in time, or they're now being rendered obsolete because of technological advancements. Okay, now that's a lot of big words. What I mean is, like, Roku was mostly a hardware company, right? So Roku had their Roku sticks, hardware, a physical thing in technology, and they sold those Roku sticks, right? But eventually, the world of technology evolved past that type of hardware, and now it's mostly software driven. You don't need a Roku stick to do it anymore, right? You can still buy it, but less people are buying it. Why? Because the software is much more a big part of their business. And the problem when they switch from hardware to software is that the software that they have is very replicable. You know, like, you can create these TV companies are going to try to maximize margins. They're going to try to get the best margins they can. And what that might mean for companies like Roku, and this is a thesis I've said for years and years and years, but it's been proven correct. Because what that means for Roku is that these companies are going to see Roku software and they're going to say, hey, I can do this. We can do this ourselves. Like, we can create our own version of it. We could probably pay a programmer, like 30 grand to do this, and then implement this on our TVs and take the data ourselves. Because Roku's really a data company as well. They're taking your data, they're using it. The TVs are going to want that. Samsung's going to do that. Sony's going to do that. And they already are doing this, right? Samsung's doing this. Sony's doing this. All the big TV companies are doing it. And so what does that mean for Roku? That means declining margins over time. And that means that they're probably going to struggle if they don't do something different. And if we look at Roku price, and again, if you think I'm wrong, tell me. Don't just complain about me being bearish on Roku. Tell me where I'm wrong. But if you look at Roku long term, this thesis has been proved correct. Like, look at this. This is 2021. This thing was at $500 a share. It's now down to 76, 75 bucks. And I'm not telling you Roku's going to fail. There's a lot of variance with this. Anything could happen. But just be careful, guys. Just be careful with it. I think software's big. People need their hardware less. And that might, and when you extrapolate that over long terms, it means like declining margins, weaker company. Most likely. Maybe I'm wrong. I could certainly be wrong. I don't know. Again, we got Microsoft coming out today too, with earnings. NASDAQ just bumped under the 200 EMA. We got 30 minutes or so until... and so those are the companies, in my opinion, if you want to short something, if you want to buy put options on them. A lot of companies like that. Beyond Meat, Peloton, Roku, Dish on Demand was a company not too long ago. And so there's a lot of companies that you can spot this type of thing. And I don't know how you want to take a position there. I'm not telling you to take anything, but there's companies like this that are obviously overhyped, obviously overpriced, obviously declining margins in business. And so your job is to find those companies. Most of the time what you'll find is that they're kind of like this. They're not like the biggest blue chip, like mega cap mag 7 stocks. Those are not the ones that you're going to find like this. The companies you're going to find like this are like mid caps that got really big in small periods of time, and now they just can't justify being that price. Again, good examples like Peloton got really big after the pandemic, and now it is down. Because nobody wants a virtual reality bicycle anymore, and so there's companies like that where you can find that you can find the story. Yeah, so we got Microsoft, Meta, Coinbase, Robinhood, Carvana, Roku, Etsy, Riot, Blockchain, Starbucks, and more this morning or this evening. Look at this big pullback here. I'm going to buy a dip here and see what happens. We're buying one contract of the regular NASDAQ. This is a funded account. We're just trying to play it. We're trying to take larger positions here. We'll hold it break even, but I'd love to see it bounce back some. There we go. Moving up. Boom. So just made a little $50 gain, attacking the momentum after a big few red candles. You guys have any ideas of companies like this, chat? Let me know. List some companies. I'll take a look at them, see if we agree on some of them, if you guys have any. Let me ask AI the same thing. Let me see how I can phrase this. Okay, guys. So again, the GDP report coming out in about 40 minutes is the advance estimate. It's the earliest GDP report. It relies on, incomplete, inaccurate data sometimes, so it can be really brash and random. They have the advance estimate, which is today, the second estimate, the third estimate, and some additional revisions sometimes as time goes on. All right, so I'm asking AI to do some pretty complex stuff. I said, so I want to short some companies that got really hyped up but do not have the business model needed to succeed. Some examples of this are Peloton. It got really big after 2020, but the need for it fell and it dropped in price afterwards. Another is BYND, because vegans are skeptical of experimental food and products, and so they're not going to be buying this, and that's their target audience. And so I want you to list 10 more stocks that are similar and might be a good short with a summary of the idea. These are the stocks that they listed. Okay, these are the stocks they listed. Number one is WeWork, which honestly I don't even think is still around, and it's not. So here's some of these companies. Zoom is the first one. It said Zoom saw explosive growth during the pandemic as a remote work because of the norm. However, the workers are returning to office, and Microsoft Teams, Google Meet, and more. Growth may not sustain the highs experienced in 2010 or in 2020. So what do y'all think about Zoom? I can kind of agree with it, but I do think like most of the downward pressures already happened for Zoom. It's already at it was at 300. It's now at $75. The next one I listed is Snapchat. It said Snapchat attracted young user base, increasing competition from Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, as well as challenges in ad revenue. Its growth prospects are under pressure. While Snapchat just ripped up huge percentages. Coinbase is another one, but I disagree with this one. I think it's too heavily tied to Bitcoin price, and Bitcoin's been close to all-time high breaks. So definitely not looking at that one. Space, SPCE. This one's already done, though. Like, I agree with this one. And honestly, I was telling people about this short years ago. I was telling people the same idea, right? And the idea around space was this. Okay, so this one had this cult following. The problem with SPCE is the space industry is so freaking expensive. It's so expensive. And so, like, betting on a company like this with such an, like, what's the business model here? It's just such a risky bet. It's big risk, big reward, but the probabilities are on the downside, in my opinion. But it's already dropped. You know, it's got a post-split price of $1,200 at the highs. It's now at $730s. So it's been split over and over again, which isn't a good sign. DraftKings is one of them. The only problem with DraftKings is competition. But DraftKings is, I don't know if I agree with that one. It also says Robinhood, Oatly. Yeah, most of these are down too much. And then it gave Canoe, Goev, which I do like. Canoe's weak. Most of these are down too much. I said most of these are down too much. I want companies that are not down that much but still fit the story. So it's saying Carvana, Chewy. Yeah, I don't agree with a lot of these. DoorDash, I think, probably is in trouble. Right? I think DoorDash is probably one of the best. Like, I kind of agree with DoorDash, to be completely real. DoorDash, why do I agree with DoorDash? Because I think Uber's going to eat it. Again, that's what I think. I think DoorDash, I think Uber's going to eat it. I think people are going to start using Uber Eats over DoorDash over and over again. And that's going to, you know. Rivian, Datadog, Unity, Shopify, Zillow, Pinterest, Block. I don't agree with most of these. Block, which SQ is Cash App. Pinterest, I don't really know how Pinterest was ever like a super profitable company. But it's up, I guess, on earnings. Zillow, Unity, you know, potentially interesting. Datadog, Rivian. Yeah, I'll have to look into some of these. What do you guys think? Let me see what you guys said. Down 10%. What's your view? Hey, what's up, Thomas? Eli Lilly. It's a pharma company. You know, I'm not a super. I don't like pharma companies, to be honest. There's too much volatility. You know, the biotech industry is incredibly risky, difficult to judge, and I'm not saying you can't judge it. I think you can, but it's just not one that it's not one that I am confident betting on like that. It's down a lot, though. It is down a lot. Are you bullish on long-term bonds here? That has to do with like what you think is going to happen with regards to rates, right? So, as interest rates go down, bonds are more expensive, but their yields go down. So, I don't know. Basically, TLT going up is a prediction on bonds, on interest rates, and we'll see. I'm not sure, to be honest. Really don't know. Chewy stock falls as the SEC filing reveals that trader Keith Gill dumped his stake in the company. So Chewy is down. The problem with Chewy, again, is competition from Amazon. It's the biggest problem with it. Estee Lauder named a new CEO. Yeah, I did see this frostbite. But again, I'm not confident enough in any of this to do it. But, it says I can bet on inflation. So this is a derivatives market. I'll check this out. So year over year, it has inflation over 2.3% at 68%, above 2.4% at 50%. Core inflation. It depends on what they're like gauging it for. I guess so. There's a lot of inflation metrics. There's PCE. It also does interest rates. There's a little bit of a discrepancy though. When is the Fed's next rate hike? Most people think it's going to be before 2026. Only 3% of people think it's going to be before 2025. Yeah, so Eli Lilly's out. Most of the earnings reports for the big companies, Eli Lilly and Caterpillar, were weak this morning. They both missed EPS, missed revenue. Both of them, Eli Lilly posted 118 versus 150s, missed 22%. Revenue came in at 11.4 versus 12.21, missed. Caterpillar down as well, missed EPS, missed revenue also. Yeah, I don't know about GDP data. GDP is harder to gauge, and this is the initial estimate, so I think it can be anything. All right, so you get Chewy in the middle. So yeah, Chewy at 26.20s. Tesla now technically red on the day. Amazon very, very green, up to 190s. So somebody's asking, are shorter term bonds more valuable if there's a cut? Yes. So shorter term bonds become more attractive if a rate cut is expected. Their yields adjust more quickly to changes in interest rates. So shorter term bonds are less sensitive to interest rate changes than long term bonds because they have shorter durations. So when the Fed cuts rates, it reduces the cost of borrowing, which generally makes the yields go down on newly issued short term bonds. Existing short term bonds, the fixed yield becomes more appealing since new bonds will now offer lower, like worse rates. So this effect can make them more valuable. Yeah, like the way you have to think about it is like when interest rates go down, right? This unlocks cheaper loans, right? People get cheaper loans. And so because of like supply and demand is the easiest way to understand it, right? Like if everybody has more money, the yields are going to drop because of it, you know? Why? Because of like competition and supply and demand. You know, if everybody has more money, you know, they're gonna compensate it a little bit in terms of yields. Does that make sense? Do you think Caterpillar will bounce because of all the hurricane stuff? I'm not sure. What's up, Patrice? Thanks so much. Yeah, GDP is expected at 3.1%. I'll put this up on screen. We got the first one coming out is the prelim NFP called the non-farm employment change. Honestly, payrolls and everything are looking pretty low. It drops at 8:15 a.m. and is expected at 110. Honestly, after the last time, this will be really interesting because the last payroll report showed up like 90, 85, 90% higher than expected, way higher than expected. I'm gonna buy this now. Buy this little dip. It's a little risky, but we're taking some larger positions on this specific funded account. We've got multiple funded accounts, so we're just taking some larger risks here. We're trading the regular NASDAQ instead of the micros. Oh, sorry, bumped my mic a little bit. So it's on the 5th, Joe. It's on the 5th. All right, so we're going to add to this, see if we get a little pop up real quick. We want to see a little retracement, but we will cut out of this fast too. We're already up on the day, and so no matter what, we should be good. Flat on these positions roughly. And ideally, we want to bounce, of course. Oof. You don't love to see it. Yeah, I gotta cut this. I don't want to get risk. I really don't want to risk that. I'm gonna switch to my other funded account here. Wait, let me make sure it's the right one. Okay, yeah. So I'm gonna switch to this one and play with this one a little bit more today, and probably scale down and wait. We got prelim payroll data, so I do want to attack choppiness, but we are getting some like breakdowns in the NASDAQ. So we are getting some breakdowns. We'll see if we can fight our way back on that account today. Yeah, we got 6 minutes left, chat. Or no, we have, I'm sorry, 12 minutes left. Tuesday. Yeah, so the jobs report is super interesting. We'll see if we get anything good. Yeah, so the jobs report, very relevant because, again, the payroll numbers. The payroll numbers came in last time way over the expected number, so I don't know if we're going to get like a correction in those today or what. But the payroll numbers, much higher than expected. This time they're expecting pretty low expectations. Again, prelim payroll numbers dropping in about 10 minutes are expected at 110, so very small. Like, not the biggest number here. Not the biggest number. Yeah, and again, we'll see. We got over 500 people here. We got 10 minutes left here, chat. 10 minutes. What happened to the Dow at 6:30? Coin toss Tuesday. Yeah, it's a tough day right now leading up to this report. Again, prelim payroll data. We'll see if we get anything good. Top 3 best morning market shows on YouTube, hands down. Hey, thanks so much. Yeah, I've just been lucky. Like, my wife and I have been able to make it work for as long as we have. Like, we've been together for almost 14 years. You know, marriage is tough though. It's hard. You gotta just have somebody that's committed to you. Takes time. You know, you gotta find the right person. Yeah, y'all hit that like button, hit the notification bell. We got 20 seconds, 30 seconds, or we got 8 minutes left. Market is definitely breaking down pretty big here. Broke under the 200 EMA, and it's just been falling ever since. I want to see if we get choppiness today, but we also have some big earnings, and I think it's very tough day right now. But market looks weak leading into this payroll report. I don't know if the payroll numbers are going to correct it. Again, GDP's coming out soon, right? So GDP's pretty big, pretty relevant, pretty important. GDP first initial estimate expected at 3% today, 3%. Hey, what's up, Coffee? What's up, Kevin? Data will juice the market. We'll see. Honestly, the NASDAQ, the S&P have just been breaking on the downside, just falling. Find the right person to deal with child support. Yeah, that's the music. Hey, no, I appreciate it. Yeah, you know, like, it's just relationships are hard, man. Like, and there's a lot of like people are strange and weird. Like, my wife's had some people, like, she has this ex that is kind of like obsessive over us, and so we kind of just make sure we just kind of, I'm 90% sure he's one of the trolls that are here also. You know, but he seems to kind of like mirror what I do. Like, I'll get into watches and he'll start posting watches, and you know, he's talking about how many haters he has and like all this weird stuff, and it's like, bro, you don't have any haters. Like, it's just but then he gets really obsessive, and like, he's been like struggling, so you can genuinely see he's been struggling. And so, and I wish him the best. Like, I don't want him to have any problems, but I also, he does make it a little bit uncomfortable just in terms of like obsession. Like, you can tell he's a little bit obsessed with what we're doing, and I don't know if it's necessarily healthy. There's a long story behind it. I won't go into it, but yeah. People are weird, man. People are weird. And y'all are my therapists, so. You need a side hustle. Side hustles don't do as much as people want them to. Like, everybody's all about side hustles, but side hustles really don't make that much money, right? Like, once you get to a level, like, I'm at the point in my business and life where I don't want another side hustle. Like, I make enough money. I want something scalable. Like, I want to exit for 50 million right now. You know, I don't want a side hustle that makes me 50K a year. I don't care about 50K a year. I genuinely don't. Like, and again, this is just me. I'm not saying this is everybody else. I'm not saying y'all can't have side hustles. But where I'm at right now, whatever business I start, I don't want to start a business that'll make me 50 grand a year that I got to work super hard to do. I want to start something that's scalable at this point. And again, who knows? Like, we'll see. But yeah. Yeah. People are just so weird, man. I saw you yesterday on Top Step TV. Hey, thanks, man. Yeah, it's fun. We'll be back on next week, too. So they're inviting us back. Yeah, it was really funny because, like, when I was on there, we had a bunch of people like, oh, this dude's trades are horrible. Look, he gets into a trade. And they're, like, making fun of this trade. And then the trade for the next 10 minutes just goes in my favor. Like, goes really, really for me. And I end up making money and exiting. And then after I exit, it continued to go in my favor. So I was absolutely right about it. And then it's just crickets. Silence. You know? Funny how people are. Oil prices. Oil prices, aren't they still down? Did we ever get a rebound in oil? 4 minutes, chat. 4 minutes. Yeah, we did. So we bounced back a little bit on oil. Not a shock. Oil had dropped a lot over the weekend. But oil's been pretty sideways for 2 years straight. So yeah, oil's been pretty flat for 2 years straight. We just got out of a little $100 trade here we made. Now we're up another small amount. Let's see if we can grow it into being up more than this. We're up All right, we're out of that. So we just made a little $100. I'll take it. Well, we do streaming. We have some investments. We do real estate, a little bit of software. So I have a bunch of different streams right now. All right, guys, we got 4 minutes left. 4 minutes. Yeah, so again, the big data report is not at 8:15. The big data report is at 8:30. So in about 20 minutes. Again, the prelim payroll data comes out now. I have a couple subscription websites. I'm not going to be specific about what they are on this YouTube channel, but I have a couple subscription websites that I get that are businesses in other areas. They're not in trading. They're not in the trading niche. We got 2.5 minutes, chat. Well, I've got a bunch of different streams. We have a few investment rental properties. We have a couple different websites that are subscription based that I'm not really going to talk about. For software, we have we got a couple things. Again, I don't want to be too specific here. We got 2 minutes left. 2 minutes. If you have 1 million subs, YouTube pays how much? Well, it depends on what the niche is, right? I'm in finance, and so finance pays more than like entertainment, as an example. But it's all relative to what your industry is. All right, guys. 1.5 minutes left until the prelim payroll data drops. Again, they are expected at 110K, 110K. Earnings. Nvidia's down because of earnings. I work in IT, so I do React Native software, JavaScript mostly. There's a couple things. Again, the prelim payroll data come out in less than a minute. They're expecting 110. GDP expected at 3 to 3.1%. 3 to 3.1%. Again, the prelim payroll data is about to drop right now, though. We'll see if we show up good or bad. All right, guys, here we go. 30 seconds. Hit the live button next to the play button. Make sure you're fully subscribed. We appreciate it. Correct, Martin. All right, guys, here we go. 110 is expected. It drops in 10 seconds. 10 seconds. And there's the report. So 233,000 payroll data. ADP non-farm employment change 233,000 versus 110 expected. Way higher prelim payroll data than expected. Way higher. Now, what this might mean is that come Friday, we might get even larger payroll numbers. But this is super high, man. 233 versus 110. Super high ADP non-farm employment change data. Chat, super high. Again, 233 versus 110 expected. Wow. 233 versus 110, 115 expected. Crazy number here, to be honest, man. Look at this. I'm going to put this up in chat. That's a big number. 233 versus 114. What a crazy number here, chat. It's a stronger economy, not weak for sure. Look at this number right here. 233 versus 114, 110 expected. The market popped up a little bit on this as well. Now we have GDP as the next big thing this morning, chat. We got GDP as the next big thing. Interesting. So I'm worried about inflation with these numbers, though, and I'm curious if the rate decisions are going to change. I don't think they're going to change on this. I think the bigger report is going to be on Friday. So the bigger report is going to be on Friday. As of now, we got a 99% chance of a 25 cut in November in a week. 99% chance of a 25 basis point cut. What this does, guys, this shows a stronger economy than expected. And again, these are preliminary numbers. These are not the full numbers. These are preliminary numbers. The real numbers show up on Friday. So these are prelim payroll numbers. Why would market pop up on that? Because it shows a stronger economy. It definitely means higher inflation, but it shows a stronger economy than expected. Much higher payroll data than expected here. Yeah, I don't know what this means moving forward. We will see if we get any good reports. All right, we just scalped a little bit more here, chip it away. I wouldn't say, I'm not sure how much they're going to match, but the GDP data shows up pretty soon, chat. 8:30 GDP data. It's expected at 3.1%. GDP measures the monetary value of final goods and services. Yeah, it's GDP. It's gross domestic product. All right, guys. So GDP data. Again, this drops in 12 minutes. Chat, 12 minutes. Do you guys think this is good or bad? Do you guys think these payroll numbers are good or bad? GDP data is expected. Again, it releases right here at 3. Initial estimate. GDP data drops live right here at 8:30. Get subscribe to chat. Numbers are always bad. These are not bad. I mean, bad is relative and subjective, right? These numbers are actually good for the economy, you know, because like the stronger the economy, the more inflation, but it still means a strong economy, right? You know, and again, like an example is like the last payroll report showed 80-90% higher than expected. A very similar thing, right? The last payroll report, they were expecting like 150s. And they ended up showing 260s, I believe, or something like that. So much larger than expected numbers. We kind of see a similar thing today with the prelim report. And again, this is every non-farm payroll unemployment report. The 3 days for 3 days preceding the report, they drop the prelim payroll data, which is what we just showed, right? So for 3 days before the actual report comes out, the main report, we get an update on prelim payroll data. And so that's what we see right now. We have the prelim data. It doesn't necessarily mean the actual data is going to show up as this. Again, it doesn't necessarily mean anything. I do see it sometimes where the prelim data shows up at one thing and then the actual payroll numbers shows up something wildly different. All right, so that is something to understand. Like, this doesn't always mean it doesn't always mean the real payroll numbers are going to show in a similar trend, if that makes sense, right? So this could be very, very different versus what we could see for the actual numbers here, if all that makes sense. And again, if you haven't already, check out TopStep. TopStep funded account program and futures. We've been day trading on them today. It really is the best way to learn how to day trade with limited risk. If you lose, it's not the end of the world. They give you a demo, test your skill with it. It's a beautiful thing because it's a perfect middle ground. Most day traders lose. If you put up 5,000 of your own money, you're probably going to lose it trying to day trade stocks or even futures. And so it makes no sense to do that. Like, no sense. Everybody thinks they're going to be an outlier. You're almost certainly not going to be an outlier. Almost all day traders lose money. And so if you haven't already, try TopStep. TopStep gives you a demo. They test your skill with a demo account. If you pass the test, the base one, you got to make $3K without losing $2K. If you pass the test, they fund you. If you fail, you only lose what you pay for it. In this case, it's $49 a month. It's very cheap. It's like $50. It's not the end of the world if you lose it. If you pass it, you get a 90% split. They've paid out over $100 million to their traders. They fund thousands of traders. And in the futures market, you can day trade the S&P, the NASDAQ, the Dow, the Russell, gold, some currencies, very, very similar patterns to blue chip stock patterns, and a 90% split is similar to funding yourself. So it's the best of both worlds. Although they're a sponsor of mine, they pay me money. I'm biased because they pay me money. If you want to check them out, here's the link. Great way to help support the channel. And again, guys, we got GDP data coming soon. Coming soon. Again, right now, let me know what you guys think the GDP report's going to show up as. It's expected at 3%. 3%. All right, guys. I love you, buddy. Have a good day. All right, guys. Let me know what you guys think. Love you. Let me know what you guys think we're going to get today. GDP data drops in 6 minutes, chat. 6 minutes. How would the GDP report affect the market? I have no idea. I hope it affects it positively, but we really genuinely just don't know. GDP report this is the initial estimate. So every time we drop a GDP report, we drop it. It's always quarterly numbers. So when we get GDP data, it's quarterly data, right? So they're expecting 3%. 3% is what they're expected quarter over quarter for GDP. Now, they update this multiple times throughout the quarter. So the first one is the most varied, rangy one that could be anything. And that's today. It's called the initial estimate. It's the initial estimate of GDP, right? After today, they'll have what's called the second revision, which is where they update it after they have more accurate numbers. Again, it's called the second revision. And then the last one is called the third revision, or the final estimate is what it is. And so, GDP data drops. It's a 3-month quarter. A quarter is 3 months. And so once a month, they update the GDP data. Today is the first estimate, the first time they are looking at it. And again, it's expected at 3%. Some have the estimate at 3.1% for GDP. So some have it at 3.1%, some have it at 3%, and that is specifically what we're looking at today in 5 minutes. 5 minutes, chat, 5 minutes. Again, give me your last minute predictions. We got 900 people watching. We'll have over 1,000 here when GDP drops. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Hit the notification bell. We appreciate it. But again, this is a really important report. And then tomorrow's jobless claims unemployment filings. We also have core PCE, like the big inflation data that the Fed uses to judge inflation. Is called PCE inflation. That's coming out pretty soon tomorrow. Jobless claims unemployment tomorrow. Friday, we have the big boy non-farm payrolls unemployment data. So a lot of it's really big. Did I post my? Yeah, okay. A lot of it's big, and this is very relevant reports. So we'll see what we get, guys. Over 900 people. Subscribe, hit the notification bell. It's dropping soon, chat. 4 minutes. 4 minutes. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. Everybody's doing it. Try it one time. Might feel good. We're here. We're live. I'm wondering if the payroll data influenced the rate decision. Yeah, so it did. So remember, this was 99%. This was 99% prior to payroll data. Now it's at 97.5%. So it actually made the rate cut expectations go down and the pause expectations go up a little bit on these prelim payroll numbers. So that's interesting also here. So again, the rate expectations changed after these prelim payroll numbers. Chat. All right, guys, we got 3.5 minutes. Guys, 3.5 minutes. Yeah, help me get to that 150,000 subscriber mark. We're getting pretty close. We're getting pretty close. 3 minutes, chat. Exactly 3 minutes. Make sure to hit the live button next to the play button. Again, prelim GDP data drops very, very soon. Here's the NASDAQ 100. All right, so here we go, guys. Very soon. Google higher by, yeah, Google went up big on their earnings. So Google had earnings. Yeah, every election's that though, Milk. You know, like every single election, they try to make you think it's that, bro. Every single election over the past 20 years, they've said the same exact thing. And so at a certain point, when do people stop, take a step back, and say, hey, they're just making this a big old soap opera? Like, you know what I mean? Anyways, we got 2 minutes, chat, 2 minutes. Less than 2 minutes, really, here. We got over 1,000 people watching. Let's see what we get. GDP data expected at 3%, chat, 3%. All right, chat. All right, guys, here we go. We got a minute and 10 seconds left. All right, guys, here we go. 50 seconds, 50 seconds. What do you guys think the numbers are going to show up as? 3% is what's expected, chat. 3%. Last time was 3%. Here we go. 30 seconds left. It's a big report, chat. 25 seconds. 25 seconds left. All right, guys, 10 seconds, 10 seconds. Let's see what we get for GDP data. There's the timer. The timer's a little bit early. We really have about 5 seconds left. GDP is expected at 3%, guys. Let's watch the markets. And there's the report for GDP. Hasn't showed up yet. Hasn't updated yet. The whole market hasn't seen it yet either. All right, there we go. GDP 2.8%. Lower than expected GDP at 2.8%, chat. 2.8% GDP, lower than expected versus 3% expected. 2.8%. 2.8% lower than expected GDP data. 2.8% lower than expected versus 3% expected. Noticeably lower than expected GDP report here, chat. Noticeably lower. Market hasn't really reacted to this either. I think the election and earnings and everything is just putting such a big influence over all of this. But GDP data is out. Again, it showed up at 2.8%. Yeah, I mean, Valentine, you just literally said what the numbers showed up as. I was giving you guys what the analysts were expecting. I think you got to learn about markets first, brother. Again, so the GDP data showed up at 3% for the advanced estimate, the initial estimate, 3% versus, GDP data showed up at 2.8% versus 3% expected. Is it good? Well, it depends on what you mean. So the payroll data and the GDP data showed kind of the opposite sentiment here. So some of them showed, like, payroll data showed a much stronger economy than expected. The GDP data showed a weaker economy than expected. And so, you know, it's somewhere in the middle, to be completely honest. Like, it's somewhere in the middle. Yeah, so again, Valentine or whatever he's saying, I'm trying to help him. Like, listen, you're looking at it like I'm making these estimates. You know, I'm not betting it's going to be 3%. I'm telling you what all the banks and the analysts are expecting, which was 3%. I don't have a, you know, horse in this race, right? Like, I am just looking at what the expected numbers are, which were 3. Some analysts had it at 3.1% versus what we actually showed, which is 2.8%, right? So we showed 0.2% lower than expected quarter over quarter. Still not a bad GDP report, though. So this is still not a bad report. Again, we showed up at 0.2% lower than expected, but 2.8% GDP is not what I would call terrible or bad. The most important thing is GDP. Yeah, good day to you, sir. Yeah, I mean, Valentine, you're just, again, brother, you're grasping at straws, man. Like, we're covering economic reports. I'm not even claiming to be a good day trader. So, like, who cares what kind of day trading results I have? That's, like, the most desperate thing. Number two, we're talking about economics here, which you don't seem to understand because you're taking, like, a disagreement about economics and then you're bringing up something completely out of left field random. And so, you know, cheers to you. You're banned for life. Good day, sir. I love you all. Have a great day. Payroll numbers came in much higher than expected, but again, they're prelim payroll numbers, right? They're prelim payroll numbers, so they're not the most accurate payroll numbers, I guess is the point. This is the non-farm employment change data. The more important one is the NFP report on Friday. That's the single biggest report this week by far versus everything else, including all the earnings reports, everything else. The payroll numbers on Friday are the biggest report this week for sure. The biggest report this week. Thanks, though. Hey, all good, Robert. Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Again, though, like, it's really easy to critique, but I'm green, like, on TOS this year. Like, on my actual stock account, I'm green. I'm mostly an economist. Like, I don't even claim to be a good day trader. And I promise most of the people, like, saying whatever, they're not actually profitable day trading either. I promise you. Most day traders lose, right? Yeah, again, I'm ready for this election to end. Hey, John, do you think AMD bounces back today? I don't know, man. It's down so much. AMD's down so much. AMD's down at 152s. John is the most handsome top 3 economist. Hey, thanks so much. Tesla's falling down on this report. Now, again, GDP showed weaker economy. Payroll data showed stronger economy. I'm wondering if somebody's going to say stagflation, because stagflation means high inflation but a weakening economy. I'm going to buy this dip. Might be a little late. And we're going to ride it up. You'd love to see it. We'll see if it continues. 50. All right, so we're going to take that profit off. We locked it in. We're up $50. So far, so good. Yeah, it's mixed signals for sure today. A lot less growth, you would think, with payrolls. Yeah, I mean, again, the last payroll report shocked markets. And again, if you want to check out TopStep is a funded account program in futures. They give you a demo. They test your skill with the demo account first. If you pass the test, they fund you. If you fail, you only lose what you pay for it. In this case, it's $49 for the base one. If you pass it, you get $50K in funding with a 90% split. And I'm here to tell you guys, do not risk your own money day trading. Like, people criticize my day trading results. Honestly, one of the top 3 worst traders of all time ever in the world. And that's why I need Top Step, because if I risked my own money trying to do what I do on Top Step, I'd be down so much more. Most day traders lose. I don't care what course you take, who your mentor is, anything like that. Almost all day traders lose money. And so if you put up your own money, you're probably going to lose it, especially in the beginning. Limit your risk with a funded account program. It's a perfect middle ground of pressure. If you lose, it's not the end of the world. The base one's $49. If you pass it, you get a $50K funding, 90% split. You can also get accounts all the way up to $150K in funding with a 90% split, and they've paid out hundreds of millions of dollars, over $100 million at least. They fund thousands of traders. And in the futures market, you can day trade the S&P, the Dow, the NASDAQ, the Russell, gold. Patterns are super, super similar to blue chip stock patterns, but there's no PDT rule, and it's actually where most pro day traders day trade. But still, most day traders lose. And so you got to understand, most day traders lose. And if you want to check them out, here's the link. They are affiliate, or they pay me money. I'm biased because of it. Yeah, a lot of stuff going on this week. It's kind of strange with how much crazy stuff we have going on. Yeah. ADP non-farm data. So yeah, ADP non-farm data is out as well. It showed up much higher than expected. So ADP non-farm data. So we had this report here. I'm going to build a full thing. So the ADP data is already out. We covered it earlier this morning. It showed up again at 233 versus 114. Last time was 143. So again, here's both of the reports from this morning. Huge reports. Market's bouncing back dramatically right now too. Look at that support level. We drew the support level yesterday. Beautiful level here. I gotta start leaving that on the charts. Yeah, next Wednesday. Next week is crazy too because we have the rate decision on the 7th. Right, so the rate decision's on the 7th as well. So it's gonna be just really busy, to be honest. Payrolls and JOLTS always being revised. Well, we'll see. So the GDP data dropped. What I noticed is like nobody else is covering the GDP data, which is interesting. Yeah, so we got the GDP data out. And the market is still super flat here at chat. We have some big earnings reports this evening, though, so be ready. We do have some big earnings reports this evening. Yeah, you are the best source I can find for Fed releases in the instant they happen. Yeah, we cover it fast. The reason we get over 1,000 people here live for each of these economic reports regularly is because we cover it faster than everybody else. Eli Lilly CEO notes delaying some Zepbound launches outside the U.S. Notes they're on track to meet or beat weight loss supply goals. Yeah, those weight loss drugs are changing the game. Learning a lot. Hey, thanks, Carpenter. Yeah, I mean, we're trying to cover economics. And again, there's a lot of emotional. I think you are now the 4th worst day trader since I got. Hey, listen, definitely top 3-ish worst ever in the world. That's why, like, people insult my day trading skills. It's like, bro, I agree with you. Like, I'm worst ever. Don't copy me. You know, top 3 best looking, but worst day trader ever. Oh, look, so I got another fake email about Logitech, guys. You want to hear the next scamming thing? Listen, apparently Logitech wants to sponsor me. So at this point, the scammers have claimed to be Aquafina, Logitech, San Pellegrino water. What was the other one they claimed? It was something ridiculous. It was like Doritos, wasn't it? What did they say they were? They said they were Doritos, I think, right? My name is Linda, and I'm responsible for partnerships at Logitech. Your company is content is unique. We greatly admire your ability to inspire and engage your audience. Scammers, 100%. Terrible, honestly. How dare you guys? How dare you guys? All right, Sony. Oh yeah, Sony. Chips you need for your nachos. I know for sure. I am the worstest day trader than you. Oh no, you're good, Carpenter. I didn't take it as one. Awesome channel and content. OBS down to earth without the spin. It's the no spin zone, guys. You know. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying I don't know about those weight loss drugs. I've always had a very, very fast metabolism. Like, bro, I couldn't gain weight if I wanted to, and I'm in my mid-30s, still can't gain weight even if I wanted to, right? So I can't really judge people that struggle because I know I'm just lucky in terms of my metabolism. Like, I literally eat nachos every day and never gain weight. I mean, I do some athletic stuff though. Like, I train jujitsu like 5 days a week, you know, which, you know, I've lost weight since I started training. I was like 180. 185 when I started training jiu-jitsu. Now I'm probably like 170, 175. But even if I wasn't doing that, I was always like a hard gainer. It's hard for me to gain weight. You know, like I struggled. When I was 18, I was 130 pounds, right? Weighed nothing. And so if I don't have like a legit eating schedule, I will lose weight. And I've been like that since I was a teenager. So I'm just a hard gainer. So I can't really judge, but I feel for him, you know. I don't know. I would say Logitech's a move down from, you know, Aquafina. You know what I mean? I don't know. Let's see. Who has the larger market cap? Aquafina. And just to clarify, these are scammers, guys. 100% scammers, right? These are scammers. They're pretending to be whomever so that they can try to catch people that are desperate, you know? Like, if I didn't know better and I was desperate, I might be like, wow, freaking Doritos, Sony contacting me, you know? Again, what the biggest red flag, again, is how obvious it is. Like, Aquafina, like, y'all think I'm about to sell water on this stream? Like, hey, guys. You know who offers the best water in the game? Aquafina. John's Aquafina offer. You know, like people aren't going to go to Walmart and buy Aquafina. They're going to buy it from John, the online trader on YouTube. It's such a ridiculous premise. Like, how dare you guys? Like, whoever came up with that idea, you're dumb. Like, y'all got to think better about it. Aquafina market cap is 251 billion. Okay, so PepsiCo owns Aquafina, apparently. Yeah. Logitech has 14 billion, so Aquafina is much larger if you take into account the parent company of Pepsi. Are you the top 3 worst BJJ trainers in the world right now? Definitely top 4 for sure. I'm like 5'11", you know. I'm not quite 5'11". I'm probably like 5'10 and a half. But I'm just going to round up because, you know, that's what you do. You round up. I'm going to say I'm 5'11". And, you know, don't judge me. Close enough. I'm the runt of my dad's side of the family, so I have to, you know, I have to round up here, okay? Seriously, my whole dad's side of the family are a bunch of freaking Vikings. They're all taller than me. My aunt's taller than me. My cousin, female cousin's taller than me. You don't love to see it. Hopefully my son gets those genes, but I don't know. That's why Logitech needs you. All right, so the market's really flat today. Today we have some big earnings coming out as well. We got some big earnings. So we have Microsoft. What do we got? We got Microsoft. We got Microsoft, Meta, Coinbase, Robinhood, and more. Let me take a snapshot of this so we can see it. All right. All right, so we got Humana, Wingstop. What else? We have Humana, Wingstop, ADP, Shake Shack. Shake Shack. What else we got? We got Shake Shack. We had GPN. We got BIIB. We got TRI. And we got AbbVie. We got Brinker. We got JKS Solar. I'm wondering if are the solar companies starting to turn? We had Fiverr this morning. Like are the solar companies starting to get weak? Water sucks. Gatorade's better. Yeah. Robinhood's going up today. Didn't Robinhood have earnings, or was it? Robinhood earnings are after the bell today. Solar plummeted. Yeah. You look 5 foot flat. You think I'm 5 feet tall, bro? You think I'm only 5 feet tall, bro? I mean, right now I might be 5 feet because I'm sitting down. How dare you insult my height like that? Man, so Meta has an option to create images now, like AI images. I mean, I'm not super short. I'm not really tall either, you know. Why don't gyms walk up to other gyms anymore trying to flex like Karate Kid? I grew up on Karate Kid, bro. Best movie ever. Best movies ever. Yeah, I mean, here's me next to my family. I mean, I'm not... If y'all think I'm lying about my height, you know. I mean, my family kind of makes me look tall. You know? Like, they make me look taller than I really am. I love having short family members like my wife because they make me look much taller than I really am. But yeah, like I said, I'm like 5'10", 5'11", somewhere in the middle, really. I'm at a standing desk right now. This is a standing desk, but I haven't. So here's a fun story. The last time I tried to raise this desk, I've got a freaking tower of monitors strapped to this desk. The last time I tried to raise it, it was like a Jinko. It was like a Jenga crash down. Like everything fell and crashed down. I almost was in danger from it. You know? Like my monitors just started falling. And so I never raised it again. This is a standing desk. It's actually plugged in and it's electric. I can raise it up or down. I've got too much crap strapped to this thing to even risk it anymore. I was actually on stream when it happened too. Oh, I definitely skip leg day. No, I skip. My legs are, my calves, I have weak calves. I can work out my calves as much as I freaking want, and it just doesn't get anywhere, you know? I'm kind of jealous. Like, my wife's side of the family, like my father-in-law, dude, this dude's got freaking monster calves, bro. I'm jealous of it. I can't help it. You know, maybe I should tell him. But his calves are freaking fine, you know? Mine, I try so hard, and I got so far. But in the end, it didn't matter with my calves. All right, chat. We got 40 minutes until the market opens. 40 minutes. Plot twist. John's actually standing right now. Yeah. Yeah, rest in peace. Alligators are mad because they got all them teeth and no toothbrush. That's right. After Francis Did Francis pass up Cain Velasquez? Francis versus Jake Paul. That's a fight I would pay to see. I would genuinely pay to see Francis versus Paul. 100%. Because that's a fight where Paul would get destroyed, obviously. Tyson's not going to do it, unfortunately. But I would pay to see that. I know standing is better than sitting. I want to look fit like you. I'm really not that fit. I'm just a hard gainer. I can try to gain weight as much as I want. I mean, I'm not in bad shape, you know, but it's just hard for me to gain weight. It really is. Like, I could eat whatever I want. I could eat pizza and nachos every day. I'm still not gaining weight, really, which is good. I think that's my dad's side genetics, but get a ball so I can bounce on stream like Dwight in The Office. All right, guys, so we're breaking down. We got this double bottom right here. We previously drew the support level. We're kind of sitting tight waiting. There's not really much action right now, to be honest, in markets. We got Microsoft Meta earnings after the bell today, and we'll see how that goes. And we're going to stream all of that live on stream like we always do. I'm good at it. I'm not going to trade any of that stuff, bro. But GDP data came out worse than expected. Yeah, we'll see. 2.8%, expected 3%. Still on average, good GDP, but definitely weaker than the expected number here. There's a study done for people with standing desks. They found it doesn't make a difference. It depends. Like, I have restless leg syndrome anyway, and I do it, and that's probably good because it gets the blood flowing through my legs, as opposed to me sitting here and never moving my feet and letting my feet go numb and stuff like that. Like, that's unhealthy. But it depends, right? Like, it really genuinely depends on if you move your legs when you're sitting down. If you don't move your legs when you're sitting down and you don't get the blood flowing through it, that's obviously bad. But if you're like me and you have ADHD and restless leg syndrome and you're bouncing around the whole time you're sitting, that's a different thing. And so it really depends on that, I think. Maybe it does. I don't know. Sellers are completely in control of NVIDIA. Well, like I said, I trade jiu-jitsu pretty much every day, and so I genuinely think that helps. NVIDIA is falling down. So we look at that big support level we drew, and look at how relevant it was for market action. So we did just break down a significant amount here. Eventually, I'm going to start buying stuff up, but again, I do think we have a lot of just like flat action right now. Here's NVIDIA. It's a daily chart. I'm going to put a 1-minute chart up here. Look at NVIDIA dump. Anyone is Coca-Cola? That chart doesn't look good. Yeah, Nvidia's falling. It doesn't look strong for sure. Now this is ahead of big economic earnings and numbers, so we got a lot of relevant economic reports coming out today. Well, to be honest, guys, like I have to go upgrade my monitors, and so I have kind of an older school trading setup. Like my monitor setup is cool, but the problem is that here, sorry, let me make sure no weird.
So Donald Trump.
Sorry, guys. Sorry for the big audio spike. I have to go figure out another place to do it. I've got a good monitor setup that y'all can't see. But I need to upgrade to ultra wide monitors. Instead of, I'm going to keep this monitor on top and then replace all the bottom with ultra wide monitors. I might need to get a better setup there too, but it's all good. All right, so we have been kind of chipping away on this account. So we ended up losing a good bit this morning when we first got started in this specific account, but we have been on a little return. Like, look at this. So we got pretty good data. Like, look at this. So we got a nice little rebound here. So, yeah, we got one good trade here. So we're pretty flat on the day when you take into account everything. Again, we are going to be day trading live at the opening bell, so stick around. So we got GDP data out. Non-farm payroll data comes out on Friday, though. It's the biggest day of the week, so just be ready. Yeah, get out of here with some of this. So we got GDP data out. We got payroll data out. We got the non-farm payroll data out. Again, GDP dropped. So we got GDP out. What else we got? Nvidia stuff. Get that out of the way. All right, chat. So we got this big bounce back to this support level. Look at that resistance level that we drew here. Super micro and semiconductor. When does super micro drop? How many monitors is too many? We only have 2 eyes. Well, it depends, right? Like, you got to think about somebody that runs a business, like a streaming business, right? Because that's what this is. So you got to think about it in that regard, where like I have to have one monitor that you all can see, and then I need to have another monitor at least to manage that. And then if I want to look at charts outside of that, I need another monitor to look at charts. You know, and then if I want to look at news, I can put another monitor up to look at news. And so, you know, there's an argument for multiple monitors. It just depends on what you do. If you're just a normal trader, though, you probably just need one, maybe 1 or 2. And they honestly sell some really cool attachments now. They sell monitor attachments that are really nice, where they're full HD monitor attachments. They like the Asus, I think it's called the Zen screen. Really, really cool. You can hook it up to your laptop. Yeah. It's like an external monitor that just straps onto that thing. It's really cool, to be honest. Look at this dump right now, market guys. So the 8 a.m. news crunch just happened here, chat. And one of the things that's dropping this is German CPI just came out higher than expected, 2%. Did Super Micro drop? What dropped? What else dropped this morning? Let me see. Super Micro just came out, said something. They said they notes that Ernst & Young sent letters of resignation, has begun the process of identifying a successor, does not currently expect any restatements, and disagrees with EY's decision to resign. Again, German CPI data just dropped higher than expected. 2.4% year over year for prelim, 2.1% expected, 2% CPI prelim year over year versus 1.8% expected. Yeah, for sure. They're really nice. Yeah, GDP's already been out, though. So GDP's already out. All right, a lot of red action here. I'm going to buy this dip, although it's a little risky. We're going to have to just keep it tight. See if we can find a bottom here. My dog's all barking up. All right, so we're flat here. See if we can bounce. The problem is Nvidia looking a little weak. That drop and then it rebound and then it dropped again. Problem is Nvidia right at the lows. I don't like that at all. I'm gonna have to cut this pretty soon. I'm trying to be patient here with this position, but it's taking too long. I gotta get out here. I think Nvidia looks like it's breaking lows. So we're flat on the day on this one. The problem is Nvidia just dumped under lows. Nvidia hit 139.20s. Here, chat, 139.20s. And that's dragging everything else down. So good. I think a good little cut there, to be honest. It could have been much worse. But the market's fallen. Let's see if we rebound now. Wow, what a drop. Some red action showing up before the opening bell this morning, guys. Wow. Look at this red action here. So I got out before some big red action. This is Nvidia falling down under lows. You know. There's so much red action now. Let's see if we get anything better. There's deep red trend. Yeah, we definitely came in worse for GDP. It wasn't too bad, though. Like, it could have been worse. I mean... big rebounds. Yeah, so so the only thing I can see is Germany CPI data came in worse than expected. And that's what the market's negatively reacting to, is the German CPI data, worse than expected. Now we still got 25 minutes until the market opens, chat, 25 minutes, so we'll give it time to rebound, but yeah, definitely worse CPI data for Germany. Pawn. So it could be, I think Super Micro is actually what's dragging this down. Like, look. So here's Super Micro semiconductors. Yeah, so Super Micro is crashing right now, chat. Big. too. So Supermicro is having a parabolic drop right now. Let's see if we can figure out why. But this is Supermicro Semiconductors volatility. So it looks like that last trade I got into was just a little unlucky based off of Supermicro Semiconductors and the massive turnaround from it. It's down to 32.50s at this point for Supermicro. See if we can find the reason why. Company announced independent auditor Ernst & Young resigned over governance and transparency concerns. Oof, that's bad for them, right? The reason this is bad is because recently the Hindenburg short report came out for Supermicro Semiconductors, and they had a lot of concerns about sketchiness going on internally within the company. And again, I've told people this before. Like, people have constantly asked me about Supermicro, and one of the things that I've always told them was that it's very volatile, very risky, very sketchy. And so that's kind of what we're seeing now here with Supermicro Semiconductors. And they dropped a lot. Dropping again here. Look at Supermicro still falling down. Wow. Or no, look at the NASDAQ still fall down. Tech is getting beat up from this report, chat. Just a big monstrous report for Supermicro. Resignations internally and all kind of stuff. Yeah, they just went up too much. Like, I kept telling people the same thing. Like, people would ask me about buying it. The problem is that whenever something makes you money, people have, like, confirmation bias in favor of it. Like, they want to believe it's going to continue going up. They want to believe it's a great company. The problem with Supermicro, it's too new. It's a young company. It doesn't have a lot of, like, historicals behind it that give it some big edge in terms of predictability and strength. So it's too hard to tell. You know. Yeah, so look at it. It's down to 34s. It's starting to rebound a little bit. We do have a little bounce back. We're kind of flat on this account today. We've just been downtrending so much for it, it's hard to figure out what's going to happen. Are y'all buying it down here? I don't freaking know, man. I'm not. Too risky. 20 minutes, chat. 20 minutes. Yeah, it's just risky. The question is, does the rest of the market follow it up with, like, right now? And I don't know. Again, though, we're looking at the news. Company announced an independent auditor, Ernst & Young, resigned over governance and transparency concerns, deciding doubts on the board's integrity and reliability of financial statements. Board formed special committee with Cooley LLP and Secretariat advisors for ongoing review. You know, remember the independent, the Hindenburg short report came out not that long ago for Supermicro Semiconductors, and they saw bad things. You know, it ended up getting bought up, and so I know a lot of traders are probably underwater on Supermicro. I would just be careful today. There's probably going to be a lot of emotion floating around out there for this stock currently, just based off of, you know, really the amount of people that are underwater on Supermicro and everything else. Like, so I know a trade, again, let me know if you're down on Supermicro right now. I know Supermicro has this big cult following. I've always been a skeptic. You guys know I've been a skeptic, and it looks like it was for good reason, right? Like, sometimes to quote the wise kid Cuddy, sometimes what shines isn't always gold. And, you know, a lot of people asking me about Supermicro. The problem with it, very small float microchip tech stock that is up ridiculously large percentages, right? So if you look at Supermicro's history here, if I put up like a daily chart, this thing went all the way to over 1,000 at one point, got up to 1,200 plus. So this thing literally went from 250 all the way to 1,200 plus, and then dropped all the way back down to 500. And this is pre-split, right? So a post-split basis, it went from 25 up to 125, back down to 50. Now it's sitting at 30s after this catalyst, and so just not good. This will influence all of microchips and tech. It's definitely negatively impacting not just Supermicro semiconductors, but Nvidia also has been falling down. Now Nvidia is not down any significant percentage, but it's still down just based off of sympathy and microchips right now, so just be careful. Never knock them. I mean, again, it's not that I'm knocking them. I'm speaking about my risk tolerance with companies like this, and about my skepticism regarding their history. Like, you never want to be in a situation where you're so emotional about a position that any type of bad news makes you upset, or any type of like factual thing makes you upset. Now, what I was speaking wasn't factual. It's just opinion. But again, I'm not really knocking it. I'm just saying it's risky. And I think objectively looking at it, I would say most people are going to say it's risky. Of course it's risky, but it's high risk, high reward. And if you're right about Supermicro long term, you can make a lot of money. The problem is that you could also lose a lot of money. And so trade whatever you're comfortable with, chat, but be careful. And don't they have earnings pretty soon for SMCI? That's going to make this earnings call even more interesting. Yeah, their earnings call are on November 20th. So they got earnings in about a month, or in about less than a month, but still. But yeah, look at this dump, man. What a crazy thing. Oof. Yeah, you just got to look at stuff objectively. Like, I see too many emotional people. You never want to root for stocks like it's your favorite football team. Blind, like, you don't want to, you got to be able to see the red flags and digest that objectively. If you can't, you're just setting yourself up to lose. And again, maybe Supermicro sticks around, but the news that I'm seeing over the last few months has not been good. The Hindenburg report was not good. This report is not good. Again, so looking at it objectively, it's gone from $250 in the last year and a half. It's gone from $250 a share, and this is on a pre-split basis, $250 a share up to $1,250 a share, back down to $500 a share. Now it's back down to $330 a share. So that's a lot of volatility here, chat. So just be careful. Of course, Tony, you know I'm not going to do that. Supermicro is a management thing? Sure, but isn't management the company itself? I was a cheerleader, so that's hard for me. Diamond hand, good luck. Again, it's hard for me to tell if anybody, like, I'll get these fake accounts that like claim to be pretty girls, and like most of the time they're not, I would say. Again, the internet's weird. I talked about one of my wife's ex earlier, and this guy, I feel kind of bad for him because I think something that like drugs do to your brain is they make your maturity halt, right? Like, you stop maturing. You don't mature anymore, right? So like, I'm looking at them, and it's almost like some of them are like I get into watches and they post a watch thing, right? I get into trading and they post trading things. You know what I mean? I talk about haters. They talk about haters, right? Like, it's just kind of like how some of it seems genuinely unhealthy for them. And maybe I'm just reading too much into it, but it's a long story, long nuanced story that I can't really go into detail about, but just strange. Oh yeah, you get these catfishers on YouTube. I gotta just be careful. Again, some of them might be that person too, because that would make sense if he's watching the stream and he hears me talk about watches and he hears me talk about the stock market, but he doesn't really understand it. And my guess is he's watching the stream as like a hater. But he's also kind of getting into the conversations. And so he starts to get into watches and trading. It's interesting, man. You love to see it, I guess. Or maybe you don't love to see it. I'm kind of skeptical about all of it and genuinely uncomfortable, but hey. AMD down. Yeah, AMD's down big. Well, cannabis is different. You know, like cannabis objectively, it's all based off of the person. You know, some people can use it responsibly and other people can't, and so it's hard to, yeah. Thoughts on Google? Google doing great, honestly, getting close to all-time highs, right? All-time highs on Google are low 190s, and so it's at 184s basically right now. Yeah, well, you got to understand the X, right? So when my wife and I got together 14 years ago, right? For years, this person had like a campaign against us. He said all these negative things about us and all this terrible stuff. He would contact my wife's father and say negative things about us, right? And then, but over time, like, you know, the best revenge, I guess, is success. And so over time, you could see he just didn't do anything, right? He just sat around doing nothing. And like Carol and I ended up kind of evolving as people. And so I think sometimes it's an interesting story. But that's why but he's also kind of unstable. He's kind of like bipolar. And so we watch to make sure he's not about to be freaking crazy. But it's just a long story, man. Long story. We got 10 minutes left. 10 minutes. Yeah, I evolved into a Charizard personally, Tony. You know, but the point is, I'm sure he's definitely, at least some of the trolls are him. Just not having much to do. You know, not having much to really, you know. Unfortunately. Yeah, again, the market's interesting. The next 2 weeks are strange. We'll see what happens after the 5th and after the 7th. The 7th is the rate decision. It's 2 days after the election. Super micro actually starting to flush towards lows again. And we got 10 minutes left. We got 10 minutes. So it's all starting to flush towards lows. Speed. Way. GDP's already out. So I'll put the GDP data up right there. 2.8% versus 3%. Yeah, you can always tell because of teeth. Like, people's teeth tend to struggle when they're on that stuff. It's one of the biggest signs, you know. Some people just genuinely have bad teeth, but, like, you know. John, do you ever think from our perspective it feels like we know you from listening to you every day? Yeah, of course, I understand. You know, and I appreciate you guys' like dedication to watching the channel. I really do. And I know I joke around and I talk about a lot of different stuff. And I know sometimes like I vent about personal life, but I think that's what these streams are for. You know, you're going to have some people that are like, hey, only talk about stocks. But if I did that, the stream would be super boring. It wouldn't be fun, right? The whole point is to like for you guys to understand who I am, and I'm pretty like I troll and I joke around and like I say dumb stuff, but like the way I behave here is the way I normally behave in person too. You could ask my daughter. My daughter would agree. She hears how I act here. I'm very jokey and yeah. Top 3 hilarious people in the world, they say. Super Micro is still looking rough, man. And again, this has the possibility to just destroy markets. It's not the biggest, like it's not weighted towards index funds or anything like that, but there's risks because it's a picture of microchips right now. And a weak super micro semiconductors is at least somewhat weakening microchip sector as a whole in sympathy. And that's what we see here with NVIDIA. That's what we see here. AMD already had a pretty bad earnings report yesterday at 150s. And so AMD weak. And so, yeah. This isn't good for markets is I guess what I'm trying to say. The super micro thing isn't good for markets. And I would just be very careful. Again, as well as I know a lot of people are big supporters of SMCI. And I know a lot of people are underwater now from this position, from super micro semiconductors. A lot of people are going to be underwater now. And so, yeah, just be careful, guys. This thing's down big. There's also a chance it bounces back. Like, I think we have the big extension on the downside now. So I think we're down so much in terms of extension. Yeah, AMD dropped a lot on earnings as well. So we're going to be trading a little bit larger like we have been. So we have been trading larger here. I don't know if you guys noticed, but we have been trading larger today. John, do you want to laugh? I listen to you every morning, and a few nights ago I had a dream that I saw you at an event, and we chit-chatted a little bit, and you went on your way. That's funny. That's interesting. I've had vivid dreams too, man. Maybe I had a vivid dream about meeting you, even though I haven't, you know, no offense, but I recognize your name, but yeah. Top 3 dreamers in the world, they say. All right, guys, we got 6 minutes. My dreams have been vivid lately, like very vivid. I had a dream last night. I can't remember what it was, but I remember waking up thinking about the dream that I just had, but now I can't remember any of it. Dreams are weird. The worst dreams I have, my wife makes me turn away from her when I sleep now, because like I train jiu-jitsu regularly, and I also do like a little bit of striking lessons too. Like I hit some pads and stuff with Muay Thai. The problem though that I'm running into is that I'll be laying down sleeping, and I'll be dreaming that I'm fighting somebody, either fighting or grappling somebody. And there have been times where I've gotten very, very close to just whacking my wife, you know. And there's been a few times where I have accidentally. Of course it's unintentional, but I'm dreaming and like something's going on in the dream, and I'm like and then I snap out of it, but I do some big motion with my arm or something like that, and so now my wife, when I fall asleep, I can't face my wife when I fall asleep because problems happen, unfortunately. Yeah, so the audit committee's representations and to be unwilling to be associated with the financial statements prepped and after. Yeah, that's bad, Justin, of course. Yeah, so the fact that the auditors didn't want to have anything to do with it's not a good sign, for sure. GameStop's up a little bit today, though. I wonder why. I mean, I think GameStop, the pivot of business models with GameStop's good. It needs to pivot. Collectibles, I think, is a good pivot. GameStop earnings are going to be on December 10th. AMC earnings are next week. I'm pretty sure they're next week. Yeah, so AMC earnings are going to be on Thursday. So we got, on Wednesday, AMC earnings, Thursday rate decision. A couple other stuff, too. All right, guys, market opens up in 4 minutes. Yeah, next week we got ISM services Tuesday, factory orders Monday, jobless claims Thursday, FOMC rate decisions Thursday, consumer sentiment Friday, AMC earnings. I would hire you as my dream bodyguard. Yeah, listen, top 3. All right, GameStop started to pop up though, and we're mostly flat here today, guys. We still have payroll numbers on Friday. We've got unemployment on Friday. Hit that subscribe button, guys. Help me hit 150K. We're getting close. We're getting close. It's been a slow period. The last 2 weeks we haven't had any economic data, so I'm just glad we got some good stuff, even though it's all consolidated to 1 week. All right, chat. 2 minutes or 2.5 minutes left. Amazon's been doing great too. Where's lifetime highs? So Amazon's getting really close to lifetime highs. So Amazon lifetime highs are 201, right over 200. It's at 195 this morning. So Amazon's not that far away from lifetime highs as well. And it's been running. And I think Amazon has earnings tomorrow, if I remember correctly, for Amazon. And so Amazon earnings are tomorrow. No, it's not true. Plus, don't do it. Supermicro is down big. It's starting to rebound, but the market's testing these lows again, so. So much political stuff going on everywhere, man. I'm just ready to, you know. All right, guys, 30 seconds, 30 seconds. We're going to try to get some good day trades in. Wish me luck. Yeah, I'm honestly just so ready to get it over with, man. Yeah. And again, I'm on Top Step right now. So if you want to day trade with me, I'm on Top Step. No PDT and futures. Get your foot wet day trading without taking on a lot of risk. There's no PDT and futures. Patterns are very similar to blue chips. Top Step is the single biggest edge in funding over everybody. Great way to learn how to day trade. Limited risk. If you pass it, you get 50K in funding with a 90% split, and then you can withdraw if you want, and they pay out hundreds of millions, at least over 100 million in the last few years, I think. They fund thousands of traders. If you fail, you only lose $50 for the base one. It's not the end of the world. It's a great way to learn how to day trade. If you want to check it out, you can day trade the S&P, the NASDAQ, basically the SPY and Q, the gold future symbol. You can trade the Russell, the Dow. Patterns are super, super similar to blue chip stocks. Check them out right there. All right, guys, so we're still breaking down a little bit. I got to wait at least 5 minutes and let the market open happen first. At least 5 minutes is what I got to wait. All right, so we got this big rebound back up. I tend to be bullish, I guess. But, like, I don't freaking know, man. All right, let the opening bell play out. Super Micro still down at 35s right now. Pre-split price of 350. Nvidia started to test lows. Nasdaq has a nice little double bottom there. I tend to be bullish here, but I have no freaking idea because it's the opening bell and anything can happen. So Tesla ripping up though to 260s. This might drag markets up some. I gotta let the opening bell happen first though. Amazon starting to rip at 195s. About to break lifetime highs, maybe. All right, so we're 3 minutes after the open. I might start to buy this if we can get into some good stuff. But I'm going to wait, actually. Nvidia just cracked. Testing lows. Getting really close to it. Nvidia just broke lows. Bounced right back, though. Supermicro is getting close to. I'm going to let 5 minutes at least pass, actually, before I start trading. Here's the P&L so far today. All right, so we got 3.5 minutes past into the opening bell. Nvidia's testing lows of the day. Right at lows of the day for Nvidia. Supermicro's falling down a little bit. Amazon's pushing up some. Tesla's pushing up some. GameStop's pushing up some. But yeah, we still got time. We gotta wait. So Nvidia broke under a big low level. Let's see if it holds down. All right, I'm going to buy this now. First position today. We're up. All right, so we just got out. We're now technically green on the day. Very quick trade. It's close to the opening bell, so we have to be quick, and it looks like the quick was the correct move based off of what just happened. Who knows, though? Supermicro is still falling down. Nasdaq's about to crack lows, it looks like. And it rebounded right back up. Nasdaq's cracking lows again. Just broke lows. Big red candle here, though. Big red candle. We're now 5 minutes after the open. Bad fill there. We would have made some money buying that dip, but that's all right. I definitely didn't get it. I'm going to add to this. We're trying to take larger risks in this account. We're up 50. All right, so we're now green. We did end up somehow getting out green there. We're slightly green in this account now. We are up about 30 bucks on the day. Very small, but that's all right. There's the rebound. Yeah, I mean, we're talking about very short-term price action, Shy. And so when I say Nvidia's down, I'm meaning over the last, like, 30 seconds because we're covering the opening bell volatility and price action, right? So Nvidia, since the opening bell in the last 5 minutes, this is the price action right here. So it has dropped since the open, but it's not down that much. Again, Nvidia's percentage down is insignificant. Supermicro is down a huge amount. We're talking about Reddit. Is Eli Lilly bouncing back? Eli Lilly's dumping, breaking lows of the day. Reddit. I see people talking about Reddit. Reddit flying up, man. Wow. I wonder if that's why GameStop's heading up too, maybe. All right, Super Micro's testing lows. So is the NASDAQ. Man, you must be struggling right now if you're down on Super Micro. If you were holding Super Micro heavy, you might not. Hopefully, you got a good average on it though. But yeah, it's nasty, man. It's rough. Terrible news for it today. The risk right now in markets, and the reason I'm a little bearish is because Super Micro keeps edging towards the lows of the day. So I'm not telling you to short. I have no freaking idea. What I do know is that if Super Micro cracks lows, it's almost certain to drag the market down with it. If it cracks lows, it's almost certain to drag the market down with it. And look at Super Micro right here. So it's falling slowly, but falling nonetheless. Super Micro down to 3250s. Yeah, I think that's risky, Larry. I don't know what Super Micro is going to do. I see some people say they're averaging down. Good luck. Yeah, just good luck. Yeah, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button if you haven't yet. Hit the notification bell. We appreciate it. Super Micro just fell some more. Nvidia's creeping down too. Falling. It's a risky buy right here, but we're trying it. Very risky buy. I'm gonna cut it right there and just get out close to flat on that one. Could have been worse, but man, what a move. Again, it all has to do with Super Micro. Nvidia just dumped under lows. Chat, just dumped under lows. Big drop for Nvidia coming through. Let's see if the NASDAQ follows suit. There it goes. Wow. A lot of it just dumped. Big weakness showing up on the NASDAQ here. Nvidia's still fighting its way back, though. It's trying to bounce back here. We'll see if it does. Super weak motions here for everything. A lot of red action and volatility. Wow. What moves right now, man? Craziness. Look at Nvidia. Big weakness here. I might try to buy this up. I think we've dropped enough. All right, we just made 100 back. Gonna try to add into it again. All right, we got out of that. Wow, look at that drop, dude. Crazy red action here for sure. We're kind of flat on this account for the day, though. It could have been worse, right? So we're kind of flat on this one. I'm trying to time the bottom, but Nvidia keeps dumping down under lows. We got to watch super micros here as well. My bearish sentiment was correct. I should have attacked it. I think I'd have probably had a little bit larger edge there, but it's also big risk, big reward on the upside here. I got to cut it there. I can't risk that too. So we're down a little bit, but I'm not going to take too big of like risk trying to continue to attack it. A lot of stuff just turned all the way back down. All right, so we just jumped here. See if we can get a little pop. All right, so we just made 75 back. We'll see how far the market can go though, man. I'm not, if I take any positions, they're just little scalps. What a turnaround. You know, I wonder if this is front loading into PCE tomorrow. We do have PCE, personal consumption expenditure data, coming out tomorrow. So I'm wondering if we're going to get some action there or not. For PCE data. Big red action. I don't want to short because it's too down, but I don't want to go long because it's too negative momentum. And we're kind of flat on the day, and so it could be worse, but I'm not going to test that. I'm trying to pick the bottom here. I think that's risky. Still just brutal weakness, brutal red action coming through. We've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 red candles in a row on a 1 minute chart. 7. Man. Just depends on how far things keep falling, if they keep falling. We'll see if we start to pick up. I see super micro starting to bounce back. I think maybe that helps market sentiment here, but who knows? Again, the real problem is Nvidia right here, really. I think Nvidia continues to fall. All right, like look at Nvidia. Starting to base a little bit, which is good, but still testing lows, looking weak. Kind of risky positions overall. Watch Tesla too. We got big earnings today, so maybe the market's correcting into earnings. We also see like a very common thing where leading into earnings, we get a big breakup or breakdown, and then after the earnings report, we get a big, like, huge correction. So here's the call every day. Hello. Hey. All right. All right, love you. Bye. All right. Yeah, I mean, I'd rather stay flat in this. I've been trading large. I'm trying to scale up my size. Because, again, you guys know me. Like, I don't really need to get funded, right? Like, I just don't. So, you know, but we'll try. I'm usually kind of a wimp, but I'm working on getting used to larger size. So there might be a phase here where we're getting used to larger size. And so we'll see how that goes. You know. There's a big rebound. And then the good news here is that Supermicro is starting to fight its way back up. And I think that's better for markets. We called the short direction. So we did call the short direction earlier. Remember we said I think we're probably going to go short. You know, in this other account, so we got another funded account where we're up. Here, I'll show you the actual trades here. So this funded account, we're actually up a few hundred here. So you can kind of see the mix of trades where we have been playing this a little bit more. This is my trades today, but we're actually up in this account so far. 225. And so in one account, we're down 160. In one account, we're up 225 today. And so that's where we're at now with this. But regardless, I'm going to switch to this one, which is the one we're down in. You know, GDP came in at 2.8%, but that's not like a bad average GDP data. You know, was it good? Payroll data were also very strong as well. The prelim payroll data were strong. Yeah, the whole market's starting to bounce. So we were correct about the rebound. We just got in early. Where's AMD at? AMD's still cracking 150s here. Weak. Very weak. So far, we've been negatively trending in markets. You know, I'm wondering if we're going to start choppy, moving in a choppy direction. Log in to see where we're at. Put it at a bottom. Tesla's starting to look good too, honestly. Supermicro is still heading up. Let's see if Nvidia can find some wings. Yeah, things are starting to move up, but I'm trying to be patient with these two. We're looking at a 5-minute chart. There we go. Yeah, we also have a video on getting funded in a couple of these accounts going live pretty soon. trying to bounce back up. We'll see if we get some rejections here. I'm bearish now, so we moved up enough that I think we might turn back and test the bottom of the range, but it really depends on what Nvidia does here, in all honesty. Like, Nvidia is the big variable that we're watching. And remember, guys, we got some big earnings reports later. Some big earnings reports. And in our other account, we are up about 300 bucks. So, could be worse. So we're actually net green on these two accounts on the day. Let's see what you guys are saying. Yeah, all good, Melvin. No worries. Nice, Rodrigo. Hey, congrats. That's good. That's good. Yeah, so the market, I don't know what the market's going to do. I feel like it's going to go down, but I have no freaking idea right now. It's kind of that variable. Is that it's heavy variance is what I meant to say, not variable. Variance heavy. I'm trying to be patient and wait, but tough to tell. It's kind of slowing down after some upward movement. So... Still fighting its way back up, though. Big upward candle wick now. Let's see if it fights. Again, I think it's going to slow down eventually up here, but I could just be wrong. I'm going to short this. So we're back to flat. Looks like it wants to go up, but it's also running into some resistance. I'm going to cut this pretty quickly right now. We lost 100 bucks. The reason I'm cutting it there is because Super Micro ripped up, Nvidia ripped up. I think we might have some strength showing up here, unfortunately. Hey, have a good day, Corey. Corey, thanks so much. Hey, what's up? Hi. We use Aggregate VWAP sometimes. It depends, to be honest. It really does. So we're still pushing up here, man. Look at all the strengths. A big red action, big green action. Kind of choppy. Nvidia and Supermicro look like it completely turned the other way. I'm going to try shorting this here now. Risky, but that's all right. We're playing with it. 15, 30. So we get a little bit more from it. There we go. Just made 80 bucks back. So we're back where we were. We're up $300 or so on this account. Give or take, you know. So there's the turnaround that we were kind of expecting to. I don't think we have any other economic reports coming today. We're still moving up some. The whole market seems to turn, though. You know, I think one thing that we might see, just because we have so many tech earnings, is we could see choppiness, rangy, boring, neutral stuff today. We have big earnings reports today, specifically. What do we have? We've got Meta and Microsoft earnings this evening after the bell. So we got some big relevant earnings reports today too. Pending home sales report. It's not really the big report that we want it to be, though. Not really. Yeah, market's just stagnating here. So here's pending home sales. That shows up. Let's see what it gets. It's expected at 1.9%. It's really not a big report. We also have crude oil inventories going live too. Supermicro Semiconductors dumped on pretty bad news. The bad news for Supermicro was that an independent auditor decided to walk away, which is a pretty rough sign, right? All right, so there goes pending home sales. They showed up at 7.4% for higher pending home sales. So a lot of home sales going through. Again, if you haven't already, check out Top Step, funded account program. I'm up about $300 in this account, although we have multiple different accounts. It's kind of been a back and forth day, and I'm not shocked by that, just because we do have, you know, we do have choppy neutral activity a lot of the time leading into these big economic reports. So we do have a choppy neutral trend leading into these big reports sometimes, and that's not a surprising thing necessarily here. And so again, if you want to check out Top Step, it's the single biggest edge in funding. You can see when I trade regular contracts, it's only $280 per trade total. That's nothing. When you look at every other futures platform, for the most part, there's no PDT in futures, so this gets me around the PDT rule. I can day trade the S&P, the NASDAQ, the Dow, the Russell, gold, currencies, no PDT restrictions. The patterns are very, very similar to blue chip stock patterns. There's just no PDT rule. And that's a huge edge that most people don't have, and a great way to learn how to day trade with limited risk. If you want to check them out, here's the link. It's the single biggest edge in funding. They give you a demo. They test your skill with the demo. If you pass the test with the demo, they fund you with a regular between 50K up to 150 with a 90% split, and they pay out millions. They paid out over 100 million in the last few years. It's the perfect middle ground. It's a beautiful middle ground of pressure, where if you lose, Not the end of the world. You're out 50 bucks. It's a really unique thing, to be honest. And it's something that I wish I had in the beginning, because when I got started, I lost thousands and thousands of dollars thinking I was going to be a prodigy day trader. I thought I was going to be the guy from Grandma's Boy, robot, genius. And instead, I just lost thousands. And I think Top Step saves traders from that. I think most day traders are still going to lose. It's a lot cheaper to lose here. Usually, at least. Not always. Again, I'll see you guys later. Later on, we're going to cover a bunch of the big earnings reports. Be ready. I'll see you guys then. I love you all. You'll have a great day.